Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. Today we continue our study of the Sefer Shir, HaShirim, the book of Song of Songs. We are about to study together chapter 6. If you remember, in chapter 5, the a young woman had described with such incredibly powerful, beautiful images how wonderful and how handsome and how sweet and how wonderful her suitor, the young man, the shepherd boy that she wanted to go back to, her lover. She described him in such detail, and it was a description in response to the ladies of the court who were taunting her and saying, what's so great about this guy? You're here at the king's palace. You can join us with the king, and you can become a member of the king's harem. What do you need? You don't need this guy for. And she gave this wonderful description of this young man. So in this chapter 6, it begins with their very sarcastic and taunting response to her. They say, so where did your beloved go? Where's this guy? He's so great. He sounds so wonderful. Hayafa banashim, oh beautiful one among the women. To which direction did your beloved turn? And we'll go look for him with you. It's kind of a sarcastic remark. Yeah, sure, we'll help you find him. You asked us to help you find him. Hey, where is this guy? He's such a great guy. Oh beautiful one. So she responds you can hear it in her voice, this upset, why did I even bother, with begging these women and trying to convince them. Dodi yorad legano, my beloved, he went to his garden, right? He's not worried about hanging out over here with all of the trappings of majesty here in the king's house. He went la'arugos habosem, to the rows of bosem, of spices that grow, liros baganim, to shepherd his animals in the fields and in the vineyards and the gardens, below kot shoshanim, and to pick shoshanim, to pick flowers. Ani lidodi v'dodi li, I belong to my beloved and my beloved belongs to me. But which beloved? Haroeh bashoshanim, the one who is ro'eh, that wanders about and browses among the flowers of the field. That is the beloved that I am with. I'm not interested in the power of the king's house, in the majesty of the king's house, of all the wealth that the king is offering me, and so on and so forth. And this is just so beautiful. Just leave me alone. Let me go back to my beautiful field, to be with the one who I love. That is what I want. I'm not interested in staying here with you in Jerusalem, in the capital, with all the trappings of majesty. Then the king turns to her in chapter 4 and says, the most ill-timed, out of place, and frankly awkward response to try to convince her to stay with him. So presumably he heard her wonderful compliments of how beautiful and how wonderful her beloved is. So he tries to woo her by pouring on the compliments. Yafa at rayosi ki tirza, you are beautiful, my beloved, like Tirza. Exactly who is Tirza? It's a town, a beautiful town is generally considered. And it was considered an emblem of beauty. You are like Tirza Nova Yerushalayim. You are pretty, just like Jerusalem, which is often the beauty of the city of Jerusalem. Ayuma kanigdalos. You are Ayuma. You are fearsome and awesome, just absolutely awesome, like Nigdalos, like the places, the buildings that have flags upon them, those buildings that are flying flags, that are flying banners. You are powerful and mighty like them. Hasebi einayich minegdi. Don't even look at me, shehem hivuni, because your look, just looking at me, just overwhelms me and overcomes me. It's just so powerful and so wonderful when you just look at me. Your hair flows in waves like a flock of goats, shegol shumin hagilad, that are coming down from Gilad. One of the understandings of this is if you look in the distance towards Gilad, the mountain, and you see the goats coming down, they look like rows of goats coming down the mountain, kind of like braids. He may have been complimenting the braids of her hair, or it could be when you look out and see a herd of goats from a distance, they have like waves to them and colors and so on. So he was comparing her hair to that. Your teeth are beautiful and white like a flock of Rechelim are female sheep that have come up from a pool where they have just been washed, so they're clean and fresh and white and fluffy. Shekulam matimos, they all match each other. They all are paired with each other. V'shakula ein bohem, and none of them are miscarrying. They're all healthy and strong and having babies and so on. Kifela charimon rakosech, your temples, the temples of your head, right? Are like the a pomegranate split open, mibad litzamosech, behind your veil. That's what it's just, behind the veil that women traditionally wore to, for reasons of modesty, but it also gives like a sense of mystique, of mystery, her beautiful face behind the veil is what he's comparing this to. Shishim heima melachos ushmonim pilakshim v'alamos ein mispar. Sure, there's plenty of queens, plenty of royal women, plenty of noble women in the palace, 60 of them, and there's 80 concubines in the harem, v'alamos ein mispar, and lots of young women that are pretty. Each one has their thing, but achasi yonasi tamasi, but my Yonah, remember the image of the dove is an image of beauty, my perfect dove, right? She is just one. You are just unique among them all. Achasi li'ima, you are the only one from your mother that is like you. Barahi li'oladta, you are the bara is like the one who is clear, who is in this context it means who is delightful, is I guess the best word, to the one who gave birth to her. Ra'uha vanos vayashiruha, the young women, they all see her and they praise her and they talk about how wonderful she is and how beautiful she is. Milachosu pilakshim, all of those queens and noble women and concubines of the king, they see her as well, v'hallelujah, and they praise her and talk about how wonderful she is. So the king comes in with all of these compliments. But let's see what does these compliments do? So in verse 10, the king then says, Mizos hanishkafa k'mushachar. Who is this young woman who I am discussing, who I am talking about, who shines and glows like the glow of the morning? Yafa kalavanaho, is beautiful like the moon. Bara kachama, who radiates beauty as the sun does. Ayuma kanigdalos, the one who is powerful and awesome, just like the great towers with the banners and flags on them. So this is his speech to her, and trying to convince her to stay. This is his last ditch effort to try to woo her in with compliments and talk about how unique and how wonderful and how special and how overwhelmed he is with her wonder and her beauty. But this does nothing for her. Remember, none of that. They're all constantly responding about beauty, 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 but she has been talking about love. The king is not offering love, and what she wants and has with her beloved is love, which is something that transcends beauty. But Elginas egos yorarati, so she interrupts the king in verse 11 and says, "What am I doing here? Elgina, all I did was go down to the grove, the orchard of the egos, of the nuts, where the nuts grows, right? Liros bi'be nachal, simply to see the whatever was in the nachal, whatever was in the riverbed that was budding and growing in the springtime. Liros haparcha agefen, I wanted to check out and see if the grapevines had started to bud. Hey netzu harimonim, have the pomegranates started to blossom. Now, all I did was go down there. You grabbed me from there and pulled me here. I was never interested in this. I never wanted this. I simply went out to do my usual thing, to go out into the field to see what's going on. Lo yadati nafshi samasni. I had no idea I had no way of knowing that this phrase here, nafshi samasi, I'm going to get back to you in a minute because it's kind of hard to translate. But markivos amina div, and then landed me in the chariots of my amina div, would literally translate to my nation of noble people. In other words, I never expected to land all of a sudden amongst the nobles. I was a girl. I was in love. I went out to see if the flowers were blossoming in the springtime because, that was her job, right? She was tending the vineyard as her mother and her brothers appointed her to do. I simply went out, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I knew, I was landed in Amina Div. Now, the Nafshi Somastni is kind of tough to translate. But basically, nafshi means my soul has placed me. In other words, I had no idea that my nefesh would in other words, my desires, this is what I think the simple understanding of the verse really has to be, that my desire to go outside, my nefesh, what I wanted to do, which was to go outside and see, ended up placing me in the chariots of Amina Div, in the chariots of the noble nation, of the noble people. That I had no idea, that my desire to simply go outside and see what's happening in the fields and to see the flowers would land me here. This is her response to the king. Basically, I'm not interested in being here. I never wanted to be here. I don't want you. I don't want all the trappings of nobility to be here. I just want to go back to my garden. I want to go back to my fields and go back to the man who I love. So this concludes chapter 6. Thank you so much for studying with me. Again, I deeply appreciate everyone who joins me, who listens, who learns with me, and especially those who comment. And you can comment in any of the various public forums out there. If you want to ask me or tell me something privately, you can send me an email at weinrebsaul@gmail.com. That is WEINREBSAUL@gmail.com. Wishing everyone a wonderful, wonderful day.